Kevin Stipson here, and you're watching S&G TV, the place to be for the dreamer, go-getter, and action taker. Super excited. Today's guest, we have Kash Shaikh. Kash is the founder of Besomebody, Motivational Movement turned mobile platform, the world's platform for passion that enables people to connect and book experiences based on shared passions. Welcome, man. Thanks for coming.
Hey, Kevin. Thanks for having me, man. I'm really excited to finally get on a Skype call with you, man. It's been a long time coming.
I love it. Let's talk a little bit about the story of Besomebody, Kash. How did that whole thing come about?
Yeah, man. I would say that the biggest thing about Besomebody is that it started so small. Because I started sharing this Besomebody hashtag back in 2009, man. I was, I had been working up at Procter and Gamble. I went there right out of school. I was in my 8th year at P&G. I was leading social and marketing for some of our bigger brands there, like Tide and Old Spice. And I was just turning 30. I was just getting out of a breakup. I always say the secret hidden co-founder of Besomebody is this girl, Andrea Thomas, because I was trying to get over her, trying to pick myself up off the floor, trying to figure out what my purpose was in life. And I knew that it was more than just selling deodorant and detergent. I knew that there was something more out there, and I started asking myself those questions, and I started kind of writing about it because writing is one of my passions. And I always say that as soon as you start to focus your mind and your heart and your soul and your spirit on your passions and this desire to find your purpose, the universe starts to open up doors and unlock windows you never thought possible. And I started right at that time. I got this awesome opportunity that was kind of gifted to me by P&G to lead marketing for developing countries. And at that time, developing countries was all of Latin and South America, it was Africa, Asia, the Middle East, Eastern Europe. So from 2009 to 2011, I was on the road 80% of the time internationally.
Wow.
I got to visit 43 countries in those 2 years and got to do a lot on the professional side that helped me move up pretty quickly at P&G, but it was the personal side that really started to change my life. The people that I met and the cultures that I was immersed in and the experiences that I had and the conversations that I had and the stories that I was told, it just started to inspire me, man. And like travel is so amazing because it's like that always on, stimuli all around you because you're always out of your comfort zone. Everything you're doing, you're learning a new thing. Just getting a cab or riding the metro in Paris is an adventure. And so you're always learning. And, I would say the crazy thing about travel is that you go so far and you see so much, but you learn the most about yourself. Yeah. There's something about world exploration that leads to self-discovery. And I started to find myself in the people that I met, in the conversations that we were having. And so long story short, I started to kind of pour all this emotion and everything I was feeling into my passion of writing. And I started to write about it, started to share on social media the stories, the conversations, the photos of people that I was meeting. And I would, we really started doing it a lot on Twitter because I was kind of on an island by myself while I was doing this country hopping, and I would just give these updates, and I would drop this Besomebody hashtag on Twitter, and that's kind of where it started. Actually, our official logo, our font is Lucido Grande, which is the Twitter font, because that's where Besomebody started. And I started getting a little bit of a following on Twitter from it, and over time, people were like, man, you need to create a marketing blog or a travel blog. And I was like, you know what, I'm going to create the Besomebody blog. And it's just going to be about these real, raw experiences and emotions and feelings that I'm having and that people all around the world are having, and about these universal truths that I'm realizing because we're all a lot more similar than we are different.
Yeah.
And I started to write about it. So back in 2011, my brother and I created the Besomebody blog on January 11th, 2011. And from there, it just kind of started to grow, man. The more real and raw I was with the posts and the emotions and things I was feeling, the better the posts started to do, and started to grow this community of people all around the world that believed in this message. And I always believed that there's power in words, but there's something about this term of Besomebody that just started to connect with people literally all over the planet. You didn't have to explain it. It was kind of abstract but intuitive.
Yep.
And instantly personal to people. They got it. And what was cool is it instantly became about them. It became about you, and it became about what you love, and it became about your personal passion, and that's what made it cool. Because some people thought it was about, you know, hip hop or music. Some people thought it was about football and fitness. Some people thought it was about art and piano. Like, it didn't matter, and that's what was cool, you know. And it became this kind of badge of passion to this small but very active, passionate group of people on social media, really. And as soon as that community, really when it started to really grow, I got the opportunity at the end of 2012 to leave Procter & Gamble and go lead marketing, social marketing at GoPro. And, you know, at that time, GoPro really wasn't well known. You know, I didn't even know about it too much, you know, and I was doing really well at P&G, and it was kind of that moment for me where I was like, you know, do I stay on this kind of fast track that I'm on here at this very big corporate safe company that's taught me a lot, or do I take a chance on this startup and try to learn something new, move out to California from Ohio and experience life in a whole different way? And that was kind of my first be somebody moment. And I told myself, you know, for this to really grow, because at that time I was kind of like you, I knew that there was something, I just didn't know what the hell it was yet. And I was like, for it to get to the next level, I have to become it. Like, I have to be somebody. It has to be me. So I took that leap, and I left P&G. I went to GoPro. And, you know, when I went to GoPro, it was a 2-story white cottage on the edge of the Pacific Ocean in Half Moon Bay, man. It was a company that was built by surfers, the complete exact opposite of Procter & Gamble. You know, I went from 180,000 person, $90 billion company to this 100-person company that was run by surfers and skaters. And it was crazy, man. You know, and at P&G, I learned about, you know, marketing 101, brand building, business fundamentals. I learned about, you know, discipline and focus and values. But at GoPro, I learned about how to build a brand from the bottom up, you know, grassroots. And I would say I learned about bro deals instead of pro deals, you know, because we made shit happen on high fives, and we built that brand from community, like surf shop to skate shop to mountaintop, and we just created this whole community feel around this brand that was way bigger than the camera that we were selling, you know. And on the technical side, I learned about how content can build a brand for you, because way more people knew more about the videos and the photos that we were creating than the little camera that created them. And, you know, similar to what you were learning, I'm sure, as you were building your blog and Strive and Grind, is like, how can I expand the content? How can I touch more people with the videos and with the podcast and all these things? And so I kind of took that learning, started putting it into my side project to Be Somebody, and the community started to scale even more. And what was interesting as a side note is, you know, for the first step for Be Somebody to grow, to take the next step, was me becoming the brand, becoming Be Somebody when I was leaving P&G. The next step that made it way bigger was I had to let go of the brand. I had to give it away, you know, because one of the single biggest things I did in the early days of Be Somebody is I took my name off of everything on the website. You know, even the little things when you used to share it on Twitter, it would say like @Kash Shaikh, and you know, everything would say it was from me, but I took it off, and I just instead made it all from Be Somebody. It was just about dropping the hashtag and made it less about my thing and more about this word that everybody could own. And that small little thing, you know, and it became the theme. And, you know, it's cool to kind of have these type of conversations to remember, because it became like the theme and the seed of everything that we're building now with our platform of finding your passion and gifting it away, giving it to the world. And when you give, you always get way more than you could imagine. As long as you give with the right intention and you give selflessly and you try to help people, you know. So I gave it to the world, took my name off of it. The blog started to really grow. And eventually, man, I got this idea, this vision of building a brand and a platform in a way no one had built it before. And instead of starting with the product, instead of starting with the product and selling something, I wanted to start with passion and content and community and grassroots experiences, and build and let people decide what Be Somebody meant to them. You know, I wanted to build the community first and let the community build our brand for us. You know, and the vision was that then we would have a true brand of the people, and Be Somebody would have been built would have been built by the fingertips, you know, and the fingerprints of people all across the world. Mm-hmm. And so, long story short, in March of 2013, I became the first person to resign in GoPro history. I left a lot of money, a lot of equity on the table. You know, it was one of those life-changing moments where I decided to choose meaning over money, because I really believe money is a symptom, not a purpose, you know. And I was chasing the wrong things for so long, you know, and it always ate at me, because I had this side of me that wanted to live my passion, but I was still addicted to the kind of the superficial side of life. I always wanted to have the nice car. I was the only guy at Procter & Gamble that wore a suit every day. You know, I was just that dude, man. But I was like, you know, this stuff is not making me happy. It's making me heavy. It's all weighing me down. So when I made the decision to get rid of that, I sold all my furniture, pretty much all my belongings, moved back, cashed out my 401k.
Wow.
And then basically, you know, left the stock and the equity on the table, moved back home to Texas so I could be close to my family, got a 600 square foot studio apartment, and just started to build, man. I mean, I basically had one of those $200 foam mattresses from IKEA, and my brother and I built 3 whiteboards. We built it from like the wood we got from Home Depot and the white covering, because it was cheaper than buying it, you know, online. We built our own whiteboards, and I wrote basically the vision and the roadmap of how I wanted to build a community, you know. And it started with everything. It started with, we went around the world basically for the next year and a half, 75,000 miles, doing art exhibitions, fitness competitions, music festivals, speaking at schools. I've spoken at nearly 200 schools now for the past 2 years.
Wow.
We did a college tour. We went to 25 schools in 50 days, just all for free, all funded by, you know, my 401k, which ran out way sooner than I thought it would. And then, you know, and there's volunteers, man, people coming together to help out, because it had this soul of philanthropy that was in this movement. And, you know, over the course of a year and a half, we became the fastest growing motivational movement in the world. And we now reach about 5 million people in 180 countries every month with our content. You know, and every day there's 1,000 unique drops of the Be Somebody hashtag across the world on a dozen social media platforms. So the word and the movement did its magic. And I learned over the time that what this means and why it's growing so fast is because Be Somebody stands for passion. And it stands for your personal passion, whatever it is, and the kind of the dedication and declaration that you're going to go all in on it and focus your life on it, no matter what anybody tells you, no matter how many times people tell you that you're stupid, dumb, ugly, crazy, whatever it is, you're going to go after it. And we built the movement, and then the final piece for us was to finally build the platform. You know, because I always realized there's always these great motivational movements out there, but there never had been one that gave you a tool, a tangible tool that, aside from books and, you know, CDs and things like that, but like a tool that would enable you to truly unleash your passion. You know, so we've created a mobile platform, the world's first mobile platform that connects people based on shared passion, and you can put in whatever you're passionate about. You can find content that's centered on that passion. You can find people around you who share your passion, whether they're across the city or across the state or across the world. And then you can book experiences from badasses around you, so that you can either get your feet wet to try to figure out if you like something, or go full on and start learning it. You know, we want to create a whole new path for learning, where people now can learn through experiences with the most talented people around them. You know, because whenever I was going around the world, I would talk to people and I would say, "What do you do?" And they would tell me one thing. I'd be like, "But what do you love?" And they would tell me something totally different. Yeah. You know, and 9 times out of 10, when I would ask them why they're not doing what they love, they would tell me, "Well, I can't make any money off of it." You know, and I was like, "Man, that's crazy," because I've been speaking at schools for the last 2 years, talking to kids, and man, they're really into that thing that you don't think you can make money off of. Yeah. You know, they're really into that, but they can't. They don't know where you are. There's no platform that connects you. And I realize it's not rocket science, but it is revolutionary if we could create a single platform that could connect these people based on shared passions, connect the person that wants to do something, that wants to learn, with somebody that's already really good at it but doesn't have a way to make money off of it. you know, how we could be able to enable people to monetize their passion by teaching others. Yep. You know, and I call it the passion economy because it's the evolution of the Ubers and the Airbnbs out there. These great platforms, the sharing economy platforms, enable people to monetize their personal possessions. Like your house, like Uber turns every house into a hotel. I mean, Airbnb turns every house into a hotel. Uber turns every car into a cab. Yep. If we wanted to turn people into passionaries. And that's the term that we use for a passionary is someone who's living their passion and every day by sharing it with someone else, by teaching and enabling someone else. And we wanted people to be able to make money doing what they love if they're willing to teach. So, you know, cool. we just launched our platform in Austin a couple months ago. We got out of beta. We're still only in Austin even though the movement's global, the marketplace for the experiences, it needs to be local. Yep. So it's in our home market in Austin. We've got already 550 passions that you can choose from. You can create passions if you don't have them. There's 408 experiences that you can book already. People are making money doing what they love right now. You can learn to play polo. You can learn to ride a motorcycle. You can learn how to paint with watercolors. You can learn how to fly. Anything you want to learn across, like I said, almost 500 passion areas you can now do here in Austin. And our goal is to prove it here and then start scaling it around the world.
Amazing. Man, you said so much in that that short period of time. I actually downloaded the app today. I still got to play around with it, but it's pretty cool. Like you said, there are tons of different passions that you can choose from initially, and then you have different sections of the app that you can build upon from there. So I think that's pretty cool. One thing that I think is amazing, man, is you were on the fast track, corporate America. It seemed like you had everything going for you. You had opportunities to travel abroad, all this kind of stuff. The American dream, right? So you did your thing, and you kind of was like, okay, this isn't for me. I know there's something else out there, things of that nature. And something we build Striving Grind upon, or we have our 3 pillars. We're all about achieving greatness, right? Tapping into and achieving our inner greatness. And we have 3 pillars. It's mindset, passion, and grind, right? Instilling that mindset in for you to go in, do whatever it is that you need to do, despite all the negative noise that people are going to throw your way. Having passion around what you're doing, whether it's passionate about what you're doing, why you're doing it, who you're doing it for, all of that kind of stuff. And then it's just straight grind mode. So you've obviously tapped into all of that. Can you describe a little bit of like that day when you said, okay, I need to leave GoPro and go all in on this? I know you talked about, you know, you sold everything and you got that little studio apartment.
Yeah, man. I mean, well, one, I mean, I love what you guys are about. Your 3 pillars are exactly what we're about at Be Somebody. And honestly, it's what everybody's about who's trying to go for it. You know, I would say the recipe isn't complicated, just most people aren't willing to follow it, you know? I mean, it's a simple recipe. And sometimes people get they overlook the simplicity of it. But it's like, man, are you willing to get it in your mind, just decide if this is what you're going to do? Are you willing to bust your ass to make it happen? Yeah. Is it what you're passionate about? And if it is, there's nothing that's going to get in your way. And once you make that decision, like, I'm going to do this. This is what I love to do. I'm going to bust my ass, and I'm not stopping until I make it happen. Like, there's nothing else then, you know? Everything else gets clear, you know? And I would say it's kind of like when you're like an athlete. That's in the zone. You know, the athletes talk about the zone. Like Michael Jordan lived his whole life in the zone where you're playing the game. It doesn't get easier, but everything becomes clearer. The game slows down. Every shot you throw up goes in. You know, and I get goosebumps even thinking about the zone, man, because it's the same thing in life when you find your passion and your purpose and you decide to go all in and focus on it. You get into this zone where, again, it's not easy, but it's clearer, you're more focused, and you can make shit happen in that zone. Yep. You know, you become this unstoppable scorer in that zone, and the challenge is staying in it and making sure that all the distractions, all the negativity, all the naysayers, all those people that say and all these things that try to pull you out, because that's what happens. Everyone's trying to pull you out of the zone, either inadvertently or because they're resentful that you're in that zone and they don't know, you know, it's kind of shining a light on their own fears and their own insecurities. And, you know, most people project those onto you because they say like, you know, man, Kevin, you can't make that happen, because they don't believe they can make it happen. You know, if they believed in themselves, they'd be like, hell yeah, dude, you got this, you know? And so I tried to first surround myself with people like that. And as I started to do that, you know, I started to realize there's nothing as contagious as the energy of those around you. So I started to basically surround myself with people that were only bringing me up, you know, or only pushing me. And that was the kind of the start of this mindset of me saying, you know, I'm going to start going for this. And I started to write more about it. You know, every time I always kind of came back to my writing. You know, I would write about it. I put blog posts out there called like Price of a Dream, which is about meaning over money. I wrote a post called The Fence, which is about protecting your dream. I talked about, you know, a bunch of different kind of feelings that I was feeling. And to be honest, there was a moment where I got a message from a guy named Aaron Mello, who was I never met him. I always got random messages from people on Be Somebody, which was always my fuel to kind of keep going and keep going for it. And I'm sure you get the same. And you know, I got this message from Aaron Mello, and he was like, "Hey, Cash, I've been following Be Somebody for the last 2 years. I really love the movement. I really love what it's about. I never messaged you before, but I wanted to send you a note because I read your post yesterday called Price of a Dream. And I read it in the morning before I went to work, and it really hit me." So I got goosebumps again thinking about it. He goes, "Man, it hit me this morning." And you know, again, it was like, how much should I pay for this dream? And it talks about how basically meaning over money. Yeah. And it says, "Keep your cash. I want change." You know, and he's like, "Man, I've been selling used cars for the last 14 years here in Boston, and I've hated every minute of it. You know, my real passion is photography, you know, and I just wanted to be a photographer. I was been too scared to go for it. But people tell me I'm really good, but I've always not wanted to leave that safety net. Yeah. But I read your post last night or this morning, and I went into this today. I went into my boss's office and I quit.
Love it.
And I told him I'm through. Yeah, he said I'm not doing this anymore because I'm going to go do what I really want to do. And I'm going to follow my passion. I want to become a photographer. And he wrote me this message on Facebook, and he said, "Thank you." And he said, "Thank you for inspiring me." And I happened to be up at that night. I remember it was at nighttime when I was reading, and it was late. And I remember getting that message on Facebook, and I was messaging back, and I was so pumped for him. And I was like, "Hell yeah, Aaron, you're the man. You're going to make it happen." And we're having this great conversation and back and forth. And then I remember stopping that conversation and just sitting there in my apartment. At that time, I lived at the Infinity Building off the Embarcadero in San Francisco with, you know, on the 16th floor with this great view of the Bay Bridge with these floor-to-ceiling windows. And just, I thought I was at the place I was supposed to be. I was told, you know, I was making good money. I was on a fast track, but I was like, man, I'm full of shit. You know, I'm totally full of shit because I've been telling people for 3 years, be somebody, follow your passion, go all in. And I hadn't even done it yet, you know? And people thought that I was like living my dream in this job, which was a great job at GoPro that I was blessed to have, but it really wasn't my true passion. My passion was to build this platform for the world, but I was just too scared to let go of everything that I thought was important, you know? So that night I wrote this post called Bullshit, which was, I'm calling bullshit. I'm calling every single one of you out. I'm calling myself out, you know? And it was all about, you know, this idea, this kind of oath that I was going to make to myself and that we all can make to go all in and go, you know, choose now over never and get over our fears and go for it. And I posted that post the next day. It became our most shared blog post. Literally a week later, I walked into Nick Woodman, our founder's office at GoPro, and resigned. And it just happened from them. And it happened so abruptly that it was tough on the people around me. I was dating a girl at the time who was a great girl, and you know, she thought I went crazy, you know, because I literally, like, so quickly, I was on the edge for so long that when that hit me, I was just like, man, if I don't go now, I'm never gonna go. And I literally, I moved so quickly to try to go after him. I quit a week later. 2 weeks later, I was in Austin. I sold all my stuff, or I left it behind. Like, and I just haven't stopped going since then, man. And that was March of 2013. So to me, it was someone else who inspired me. Someone else who took that jump off the cliff that he had been pacing on forever, that inspired me. And I realized that the best way to inspire other people is to just do what you love. Just do it yourself, man. Be who you want to be. And that's inspiring to people. You know, the fact that you're doing what you're doing with Strive and Grind, and you're making these videos, and you're talking to people, and you're creating your own clothing line, and you're doing it, that's inspiring. You're just doing it, you know. And so Aaron Mello inspired me. He was the final push off the cliff for me, and then I just kept going, man.
And then that's what it's about too. I mean, for me personally, those Facebook messages I get, or those emails I get from random people saying, I love what you're saying here, or this really changed my life, or this put something into perspective for me today, that's really, you know, that adds to my passion too. Like, that's why I do what I do. Sometimes, man, the hustle isn't always fun. Like, the behind the scenes is not fun at all. It's coming up with the content and all that kind of stuff. But you always think about why you're doing this. And then sometimes you get motivated, you just look at that message, and then like, boom, now it's time to zone right back in and get it done. So I know you talked a little bit about passion and purpose and things like that. Can you talk a little bit about, you know, what would be one advice or one tip that you would give to somebody who are looking to tap into their passion if they don't know what it really is, which I'm sure they do know, but they just have to find it. It's right there under their nose, or what their true purpose in life is.
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's funny what you said. Is I always tell that to my team, you know, and every time I get these notes from people, and we get, you know, we're blessed, we get hundreds of notes a day from around the world, or not a day, probably hundreds of notes a week from people on Facebook and on our app saying thank you. And I'm always like, man, I always send them to my team, and I'm like, this is why we're doing this, and this is who we're doing it for, you know, because we can't forget that, you know, like, no matter how, I mean, Be Somebody started with one tweet back in 2009 when I was trying to get over Andrea Thomas. Now we're a company that's, you know, raised $1 million, built a platform, trying to build something, but we're still doing it for the same reason. Like, we haven't changed anything. The stages are getting bigger, but the story's still the same, you know. But for me, man, I mean, in terms of the people, I always say, if you're Michael Phelps, you know, you pretty much knew your passion the second you got into the water, you know? Like, there's some people who have that blessing where they know right off the bat when they're young what their passion is. I actually wasn't one of those people. You know, it took me a while. I knew I had a passion for certain things like writing and almost leadership and creating. I love to create things, and that's why entrepreneurship was great for me, but I didn't really know how they all fit together. And I think the simplest thing I always say, one, is surround yourself with positive, passionate people. That was a basic thing that I didn't do enough of growing up, that when I started to, my whole world started to open up. Two, another basic thing is just deciding, like I said, deciding that you want to live your life, you know, centered on your passions. You want to fulfill your purpose. As soon as you put that out there, it's a bit of the spiritual side of what we believe at Be Somebody. As soon as you put that out there, man, the universe conspires to help you. You know, there's so many things that happened. You know, the Aaron Mello story. I mean, I ran into Dhani Jones, former football player in Las Vegas, who told me that he loved what I was doing with Be Somebody. We had this conversation, which enabled me to be speaking at a conference, which enabled me to raise some money. Like, all these things that in the middle of it, you're like, man, how is this happening? Like, this shouldn't even be happening now. I don't even know. I mean, we're building a 15,000 square foot complex here from a guy, Kevin, who doesn't even have an iPhone, man. Wow. He's got a flip phone. He's an older, you know, Texan, kind of from the country. I love him. His name's Fred Tillman, and his son is learning to ride motocross dirt bikes from one of our passion areas on our platform. Wow. And that's why he believed in Be Somebody, because his son went from just having a passion to it. Now his son is the #1 local amateur in the city. Nice. So it's like he learned that, he's like, man, this is powerful. So all these things start to happen that you never could have dreamed of. You couldn't script it. but it's because you believed in it and you focused on and you went all in on it, you know. And I believe, you know, with our mobile platform, that's the reason why content is such a big part of it. That's why we have what we call our explore feed. So whenever you choose a passion, we show you photos that are just about that passion area, so that it can keep fueling that interest that you have and keep growing it. And then you can find people around you who share your passion, start hanging out with them and start seeing if that's what you're really into. And that's how it grows, man. Because, you know, I always say we all have this, passion is basically this ember that we all have inside of us. You know, it's this ember that's waiting to be lit. It's waiting for a spark. And that spark can come from anywhere. Right. And I remember when I created the blog, on the vision page of the blog, I wrote, all we want to do is be the spark. We want to be a spark for some of you guys. Because we can't light your whole fire for you. We can't, you know, start the fire and keep it burning, but we can be a spark, and then it's up to you to keep fueling it, you know, with your mind, with your heart, with the people that you surround yourself with your actions. And, you know, that's what we're trying to do. So our movement really tries to focus on the emotional side, the mental side, the you know, the spiritual side of passion, and then our platform and our company is really trying to bring to life the tool, you know, which is the Be Somebody app that we believe can connect the dots. You
Love
know?
it. Love it. So Kash, talk to us a little bit about, you know, when you were at a, like maybe in the trenches as you were pursuing your dreams and your passions for Be Somebody, and how you ended up, you know, persevering and overcoming all those challenges you may have had early on.
Yeah. You know, it's funny, when I was speaking at a school in Arizona, it was kind of in the hood in Tucson, and they told me, be careful when you get up on stage here, because these kids don't listen to anybody, and they'll be heckling you, they'll be booing you, and I'm like, man, crazy. So like, I went up there and I did my piece, you know, kind of a spoken word type piece called, you know, for calling bullshit, the post that got me to leave my job. And in the beginning, I was like, I'm calling bullshit, you know, and then everybody was like, what? And then, you know, I kept talking, and in the beginning, they were kind of like, what's this guy doing? But then the whole room, was about 2,000 kids, got quiet, and they let me go through my flow. And then afterwards, you know, they gave me a standing ovation at the end of that little, that piece, and they really listened to the whole thing, man. It was one of the most, it was North High School in Tucson, and it was one of the most amazing experiences of my life. And they connected with it because no one ever kind of talked to them in the same level before. You know, people, I kind of was just trying to be real with them and talk to them about my life experiences and about, you know, passion. And at the end of I had them all come on stage. I had like 40 people come on stage and share their passions with me and the rest of the auditorium, and it was just awesome. And afterward, this teacher, and that was in the middle of the college tour, which became a college/high school tour, where I was driving a beat-up 42-foot-long RV around the country for about 2.5 months. Wow. Just speaking at schools for free. I thought it was going to end up costing me 3 times as much as I had budgeted for, because the RV broke down and you know, gas was more expensive, just things that happened. And I didn't do a good job budgeting, and so I literally knew when I got home I was going to have no money, and it was just I was pretty beat. I was exhausted. I believed in what I was doing, but I wasn't totally sure, you know, what was going to happen next. My lease was up at my apartment, so I had to go. You know, I just turned 34, and I had to go home and move it in with my parents. And I was like, man, life has just gone so crazy, and I don't know if I'm doing the right thing. And when I spoke at that North High School, which was the last place I spoke on the tour, a teacher came up to me afterwards, and she's like, I just want to thank you. And she gave me a hug, and she said, I've never seen these kids that engaged ever. Wow. And I was like, oh, thank you. And she's like, you know, I loved your talk on passion. She said, do you know where the word passion comes from? And I'm like, no, I don't really know. I hadn't really thought of it. And she's like, well, I'm a Latin teacher. And she said the word passion comes from the Latin word passionum, which means suffering. You know, she said the word passion actually means suffering, and the path of your passion that you've been talking about is the toughest route. It is the hardest way. It is inherent in the word and the journey and the myth around it. I mean, this is not going to be easy, but as long as you embrace that, you know, then you'll understand, you know? And it's funny because that was such a full circle moment for me, because when I had left GoPro, the first time I spoke about Be Somebody, a similar thing happened, and an older gentleman came up to me after my talk, and he said, you know, hey, Cash, I want to shake your hand, man. You had a lot of balls to leave GoPro. You would have made a lot of money there, you know? Yeah. And I was feeling kind of cool, and I was like, yeah, man, you know, I want to do this. I really believe in it. And he said, just remember, sacrifice is the first step, you know? And then after the sacrifice comes the struggle.
Yep.
Yep. And he said, and then after the struggle comes the suffering. You know, he said, after you suffer, then you'll succeed.
I love it, man. That's cool.
And he said, so don't freaking stop. And I forgot what he had said, man, until that Latin teacher told me the meaning of passion, you know, comes from passione, which means suffering. And at that moment, Kevin, I realized that most people stop at the suffering, man.
Yeah.
Most people stop at the suffering, not even realizing they're just one step away from success, you know?
That 3 feet from gold, right?
Yeah, it's just like, you know, they're exactly like they sacrificed and they struggled and they're starting to suffer. And at the suffering, they said, like, I can't do it anymore. Like, it's too much or it's too hard. I've lost all my money. I've lost all this. And these are real problems, you know, and like, it ain't easy. But I really believe that you're just one step away, you know, and that teacher reminded me, it was like all those things, man. It's just like, I don't know, it's almost, you can call it an angel, you can call it the universe, whatever. Got that reminder that to keep going, because I was suffering and it was just one step away. And you know, and it resets though. That's what I'm realizing. So we ended up raising money, you know, we ended up building the company. We just finished our first year as Be Somebody Inc., which is crazy because it was just, you know, a blog. And you know, now we're about to close some more funding and start trying to expand the platform. We're still light years away from success because it resets, you know. So my goal was just to, you know, build a company or open a company, then we would be done. But my goal is to build something that changes the world. So the bar keeps getting pushed. But as that cycle resets of sacrificing, struggling, suffering, as long as you have that awareness of where you are in that path, then it becomes more bearable and more understandable, and you control it more. And, you know, I say that to my team all the time. I'm like, hey, man, we're just going through the suffering right now.
Yeah.
It's part of the suffering, you know, but we're one step away, you know. And when we're not, when we're just in a sacrifice or part of the phase, I'm like, guys, you know this is going to get way tougher. Yeah. If you're complaining right now, we still are going through the struggle and the suffering. We're not even close to being done, you know. And so that mindset, to me, is what's been able to carry me through losing relationships, you know, losing a lot of comforts of life to go after this. Like you said, everybody sees the fun, the sexy side of it. They think that we're just having fun and, oh, you're following your passion. That must be easy. But it's like, no, man, this is the hardest path you can choose.
Yeah.
But, you know, and we choose to share mostly the positive things because that's kind of who we are. But it's not easy, man. You know, that zone of your passion is a beautiful, powerful, but lonely place, you know, because a lot of people can't understand it. And you have to kind of make some tough choices. But for me, I've always kind of kept the path, what I call the path in my mind of sacrifice, struggle, suffer, succeed. And whenever I'm hitting one of those tough spots, I just remind myself of it and I keep going.
Love it, man. I'm actually gonna have to share that with my wife because she's a co-founder with me at STRIVENGRIND. And
Right.
I think we're in the suffering part right now. I'm like, babe, we're gonna get through it. Don't worry about it. We're gonna get through it.
And you know what? You know what's so awesome, man, is that you're doing this with your wife.
Oh,
That's so cool because, you know, like I said, the relationship thing's been hard for me because I was dating someone that I met her I was just a different person at that time.
Yeah.
My life was different. I was still a good dude, but I just wanted different things. And then I changed so much. It was hard for her, even though she's a great person. She wasn't able to kind of keep up. And what I realized is with relationships, at least my mind always works in metaphors and pictures, but I always feel like, you know, in relationships, you have these waves, you know, and sometimes one partner is on a bigger wave than another. And you got to be able to support each other on those waves. Either the ideal is you get someone be riding that wave with you, because then they're feeling every bit of that wave, and you can't be more connected than riding this tsunami of an entrepreneurship wave that you and I are trying to ride, and then going through it together. Now, you're going to still get pissed at each other and argue or whatever, but you're going to feel everything, you know. At worst, you want them to be in the support boat behind you, you know, making sure that you survive, you know, making sure you got food, you got the life preserver, all that stuff. You know, when they start to get on the beach or start to be drinking the mimosas on the beach or wanting to not even be in the ocean, then you start having a problem, you know. And I think that I think it's awesome that you're going to do this with your wife, because you guys are riding that wave together, you know, and you can't replace that. And what I realize is, for me in my life, I need people around me that want to ride the wave, or at least be in the support boat, so that, and those are the people that you always got to remember, you know. I would say never forget the people that believed in you and all you had was a dream, you know, because people start coming out of the woodwork as you start to get a little bit of a success, you know. When you were just, it's weird. It's like, what I'm learning now, a whole new side, because we had pretty much 6 years straight of all love for Be Somebody. And now that we're growing here in Austin, we've got a couple of billboards up where, you know, things are happening. We're starting to get haters too. And I mean, it'd be interesting to see what you guys are going through, but like, I never really had haters that way. If I did, they were always kind of more like undercover, I guess, because they never reached out, you know. But now there's people that love Be Somebody and love me way more than they should, you know, way more than I deserve. And there's people that hate us way more than they deserve, because we're different. We're pushing, you know, we're saying, hey, you know, we think, we believe you can get out there and do it. We believe your son or your daughter or your girlfriend can do what she loves, follow her passion, be somebody. And some people don't like hearing that, because again, it kind of pulls up their own fears and their own insecurities, and it becomes uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But, you know,
pushes the status quo for sure. And I know, like, from our perspective, we've actually realized, man, that some of the people, because we moved, man, we up and moved from Virginia to California, right? And we're going all in. And, you know, the people who are in Virginia who we connected with the most before we kind of really tapped in and really went all in on Strive and Grind, we thought they were going to be very supportive of us, but that ended up not being the case at all. Some family, some friends not being supportive. However, it was the complete strangers who rock with us through thick and thin. It's the people you don't even know who's like, I love what you're doing, da-da-da-da, and they're always, you know, staying engaged and messaging you and giving you that support that you really need to keep going through on your journey. So,
and I don't know, I don't know, you know, if you're a spiritual dude or not. I mean, I find myself a very spiritual person, more spiritual than probably religious. But you know, but even in the Bible, man, it talks about, you know, Jesus said that a prophet will find honor everywhere except in his own hometown and with his own kin and with his own family and within his own house. And it's just, and of course, we're not prophets, but we are truth speakers. You know, we're speaking the truth. And even in the Bible, it says that the people around you are going to have the hardest time accepting the truth that you're sharing, because it shines a light on their own fears, their own insecurities, their own weaknesses, and they don't want that light to be shined, especially not by someone they know so closely, man. So it's like, that is the hardest part of the suffering for me personally, and I think for all of us, because the people that you thought loved you the most, are closest with you, don't always ride with you, you know?
And I'm sure that's tough. Yeah, absolutely. And it's funny, man, because like I said, we have our apparel side of the company too. And it's so funny when people say, oh, I'm going to buy this, I'm going to buy that, and they never do. And I'm sure you've probably had people say, oh, I'm going to download the app, and they never do. It's like, don't tell me you're going to do it. Just do it, and then say, hey, I did it. And then, you know, that's great. But that's not going to make us feel any better, just reaching out saying you're going to do something and never do it. So.
Right. Well, you know, I realize, you know, we could talk forever, man. We need to have you come out to Austin too. We're having our Be Somebody weekend event in October, so we got to figure out how you can come out.
Oh yeah, that would be amazing.
You know, what I started to realize too in this journey, like, forget all the negative people. the negative, the naysayers and the neutrals, like put them in one bucket. We won't even worry about them, right? Because they're just distraction. But in the world of positive people, there's still kind of groupings of positive people, which I didn't realize. And, you know, and sometimes when I say this, it kind of rubs people the wrong way, but now become more like just very transparent and open and honest. But in your group of positive people, you've got three different groups. The biggest group are the talkers, right? They're talkers. And I'd say 60% of the positive people out there, you look at your Facebook feed, you look at, you know, your friends you meet, they're saying great things, but they're just talkers.
Yep.
They're not doing anything, man. They're saying, hey, I'm going to download that, I'm going to buy that, or I'm going to support this, or I'll meet you there, I'll come to your event, or hey, we should go change the world. But they're not doing anything, you know, they're just talkers. And to some extent, we need those people because they are spreading positive messages. But you got to understand that the talkers are just talkers. They're never going to get off their butts. That's just not what they do, right? Yeah. Then you got a 30% of them, you know, half of that size are doers, but they're followers. You know, they don't know how to lead. They don't know how even if they want to, it's not in them, or maybe it's not part of their DNA, or maybe they're searching for someone else to show them the way, but they're ready. They're ready to go do something. And that's a powerful group. And it's a group that I'm really trying to find with Besomebody. It's like, these people are doers. They're about action. They just need to follow. They need, right. And then you got the top 10%, man, which people like you are in, who are the doers, who are the leaders, you know, and you guys, you are the change agents. You're the ones that are going to make shit happen, and people are going to follow you, and you're going to, you know, use that power for hopefully good, not evil, you know. Like I always say, that passion is a fire, and you can either light up the world or you can burn it down. So I always say we got to be doing it for good, but that 10% is very few, you know, and those are the people that I'm trying to say, like, okay, who are those people on my team? Like, who can I put people around me, and who can I help at that level? But that 30% is very powerful, of people that want to do something but need somebody or something to show them the way. And I got the 60% follower or talkers confused a lot. And I think those people you kind of get hurt a little bit by those people, because they say all these things, and you build up expectations, and you think that they're in for it, but they're not really. That's not what they do, you know. So to me, I think the biggest asset I've been able to kind of build for myself, biggest strength over the years, is awareness, you know, self-awareness and awareness of the people around me, awareness of my environment, and just having that awareness of like who I am, how I come across, who I'm meeting, you know, the mindset of the people around me. That creates a lot of, you know, that helps, you know, create clarity, and it stops a lot of confusion from happening. Because when I know someone's a talker and I hear them talking, I'm like, okay, yeah, that's all that's going to happen. I'm not really expecting anything else, you know. Right. And so that's helped me a lot. It doesn't make it easier, but like I said, it makes it clearer.
Right. Cool. So yeah, Kash, we're gonna be wrapping it up. You dropped tons of value bombs for our Striving Grind community. No, man, you're good. You're good. What advice would you give, you know, our Striving Grinders out there in regards to one thing, in regards to tapping into and unleashing their inner greatness?
Man, God, one thing I would say, you know yourself. You know, just know yourself. And that seems very easy, but most people don't take the time to figure out who the hell they are, you know. And it's either because, you know, they're caught up in other things, or they're scared of what they'll find out about themselves. I call it the cave. People are scared to go into that cave, because inside that cave that we all have inside of us are years of fears and insecurities and doubts and regrets and shoulda, woulda, couldas, and we hate going into that cave, man, because it's dark and it's damp and it's scary down there. But only we can turn on that light in that cave, you know. And if you make the decision to go into that cave, and the best way to go into that cave is just to ask yourself why. Yep. You know, have a conversation with yourself. And, you know, again, these things aren't rocket science. They're simple things that you can do. And I always tell people that, it's like, man, just ask yourself why. Okay, you know, you hate your job. Why? Okay, I hate it because, you know, I'm not making enough money. Well, why is making money important to you? Well, I want to support my family. Well, why do you want to do that? And you just keep asking these questions, and you finally get to the core of what it is that you want, who it is that you are, what makes you happy. You know, 99% of the time you'll find that there's no correlation between money and happiness. So you'll get that out of your head, but you'll find out kind of who you are. And once you figure out who you are, man, then you can start to really love yourself. Because you can't really love yourself unless you know who you are first. Yeah. Because then the love isn't real. You know, it's like loving a girlfriend and never like really spending any time with her. You know, so you gotta figure out who you are, then you gotta love yourself, and then you have to get yourself in position to fulfill that destiny and that passion that you now know that you have. You know, and just making that commitment. That you're saying, if I don't know my passion, first thing I got to do is figure out who I am, you know. And once you know who you are, man, then the things start to kind of come together. It took me 33 years to figure out who I was, and it's like one of my favorite artists of all time, Jay-Z, Hova. He said, I think he had that line. He said, "It took me 33 years to find my path. My only job now is to cut your time in half," you know. And like, you know, that's all we're trying to do, man. Help people, you know, do it faster than it took us to do.
Absolutely. Great answer, man. So this is a question we ask all of our guests. What does strive and grind mean to you?
Oh, man. Strive. It's funny. We always ask people, what does be somebody mean to you?
That's funny.
Strive and grind, man. I think I love strive and grind because it means strive to me is pushing the bar as far as you can, because when you're striving for something, you're going for it, and as soon as that bar gets in reach, you're continuing to push it further and further. Striving doesn't ever end to me. Yeah. It's almost a lifestyle, and grind is embracing that getting your hands dirty, the suffering part of it, you know, because strive is kind of the emotional, inspirational part. Like, you got to strive for it. It's about the vision of going for it and keeping pushing the bar, where grind is like the daily busting your ass every day, you know. And I love the compliment. It's almost the yin and yang of it, you know, because if you grind, if you grind without the strive, then you don't have the vision. If you just strive and you have the vision, but you don't have that hustle and that grind, that mentality to do everything it takes every day, be crazy about the details, you know, get your hands dirty, then you're never going to get there anyway. And I really believe that that's how you build something. You got to have the vision, the clarity of the vision, but then the ability to be in the moment, in the details as much as possible. Everything else in the middle will figure itself out as long as you have the vision and the moment, you know. And when I see strive and grind, that's what it means to me.
I love it, man. Great answer.
Cool.
Great answer.
Cool,
so
man.
What can we expect next from you, Kash?
Man, we're just trying to build. We're trying to, you know, we just crossed about 30,000 downloads of our app here in Austin, and now thank you, man. So now we're building. We're trying to build a marketplace so that more people can start doing what they love and making money off it. Our big vision, we didn't get into it too much today, but our vision is to change education, change how people learn. You know, the traditional education system doesn't work for a lot of people. You know, there's a student debt crisis. There was $1.2 trillion in student debt in 2014. There's people that are getting money or coming out of school having a hard time getting jobs, or getting jobs they don't even give a crap about, just to pay off the debt that they got, you know? So it's like, you know, you mentioned the American dream earlier, and the American dream has changed, man. The American dream has changed. There's a new American dream that we're all creating, and it's about living a life that's centered on your passion. And we want to enable people to learn through experiences with other people. We want people to be able to make money doing what they love, use technology to bring people together, but then to get off our ass and do stuff together in person. So that's what I expect from us and our team, is to change the way people learn, create a new path for learning, really disrupt what's arguably the least passion-centric institution of our time, and that's the educational system, and focus it more on passion and experience versus courses, classes, and curriculum.
I love it, man. I love what you guys are doing, because that conversation about education is a whole storm in itself, of a whole hour, 2 hour conversation right there.
Right.
So Absolutely. So where can we find out more about you guys online? Social media, website?
Yeah, so you can download our app in the App Store for free. It's just search Be Somebody in the App Store. Our blog is besomebodyblog.com. That's where it all started. And then we got besomebody.co is more informational about the app. But if you just search the Be Somebody hashtag, you find us pretty much everywhere. And the best way to be connected is just to do what you love. You know, remember, it's the best way to inspire others to do what you love. When you do it, share the Be Somebody hashtag, because that will inspire someone else to do it as well. And that's what's beautiful about it. The community is way bigger than the company, and Be Somebody is way bigger than the app. It's a lifestyle. And so yeah, man, any way that we can help you guys at Strive and Grind. I mean, hopefully this is kind of the beginning of a longer conversation or relationship, because I really love what you guys are about, and proud of you guys for what you're doing. Anyway, you know, you guys are our cousins out there on the West Coast, so any way we can help the family together, you know, help you guys build while we build, I'd love to, man.
Thanks, brother. The feeling is definitely mutual. Thank you so much, Kash, for joining us, man. We definitely appreciate it.
All right, bro. Thanks a lot.
So, guys, if you enjoyed the interview, please subscribe to us on YouTube, follow us on Facebook and Instagram, and until next time, keep striving, keep grinding.